Okay, it's been way too long since I have read in the book of Job, you guys. Like it's been forever. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go over Job chapter 12. And yeah, I'll read it and then kind of break down the notes I took on it. We know the book of Job is basically about suffering, and in previous chapters he received some advice from three friends. Job received it from Bildad, Zophar, and I forget the other friend's name. But anyways, the Job chapter 11 just kind of finished up on, I wrote here, do all these good things and good will come. True, but Job isn't harboring sin, right? That's like kind of where I left off. All right, let's read Job chapter 12. Then Job replied. So basically Job is, like I said, Job is suffering, yet his friends are making it worse. So this is Job's response to his friends finally, after listening to all that crap they had to say about him, all the judgment they had to put on him. Okay, Job replied, doubtless you are the only people who matter, and wisdom will die with you. Like he's saying basically like, duh, you know? But I have a mind as well as you. I am not inferior to you. Who does not know all these things? Like, obviously, right? I have become a laughingstock to my friends, though I called on God and he answered, a mere laughingstock, though righteous and blameless. Yeah, so basically he's refuting their self-righteous attitudes and view that punishment was due to evil. So like, oh, if you, the retribution principle, basically like, oh, do good and good things will happen to you, and do bad and bad things will happen to you. To a certain extent, yes, if we're living holy, righteous lives, God will, bless us, but that's not always the case, because what happens when we're just experiencing life, or of course it could be just life, it could be due to sin, or it could be many things, So basically, yeah, he's refuting their self-righteous attitudes and view that punishment was specifically due to evil, because Job was what? Blameless. God called him blameless. So if God called him blameless, then who are his friends saying he is if God himself called him blameless, right? Anyways, those who are at ease have contempt for misfortune as the fate of those whose feet are slipping. The tents, let's pause there. I wrote a note on here. He's basically saying, easy for you to say, you still have your family, your health, and your property, etc. Like, okay, your lives are like all together. You're not going through what I'm going through. You can't relate. You can't speak on something. Kind of reminds me of what I was saying, I think like a week ago, when people try to speak on something and they have no idea what you're going through, yet they try to speak. I think I posted on my story or something about people who have not gone through what you've gone through, yet they try to speak on your life with judgment. It's kind of like what Job was saying, it's easy for you to say you still have your health, family, and property, etc., Let's continue. Those who are at ease have contempt for misfortune as the fate of those whose feet are slipping. The tents of martyrs are undisturbed, and those who provoke God are secure. Those God has in his hand. So that was like the breakdown for that. But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you, or speak to the earth, and it will teach you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature, and the breath of all mankind. So this breaks down to Romans 1:20. Job is saying even creation doesn't question God. Humans do. Keep reading. Does not the ear test words as the tongue tastes food? Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding? Basically saying, I have discernment, and what you're saying isn't true. To God belong wisdom and power. Counsel and understanding are his. What he tears down cannot be rebuilt. Those he imprisons cannot be released. If he holds back the waters, there's drought. If he lets them loose, they will devastate the land. To him belongs strength and insight. Both deceived and deceiver are his. So basically, Job is saying wisdom comes from God. He builds and tears down. He's sovereign. Right? Put a big exclamation. God is sovereign. He leads rulers. I notice I'm underlining what he's doing, the action. He leads rulers away stripped and makes fools of judges. He takes off the shackles put on by kings, and he ties a loincloth around their waist. He leads priests away stripped and overthrows officials long established. He silences the lips of trusted advisors and takes away the discernment of elders. So God is in control. He gives and he takes. He pours contempt on nobles. He disarms the mighty. He reveals the deep things of darkness and brings utter darkness into the light. He makes nations great and destroys them. He enlarges nations and disperses them. He deprives the leaders of the earth of their reason. He makes them wander in a trackless waste. They grope in darkness with no light. He makes them stagger with drunkards. So basically, God strips everything in the end. Money, fame, titles, and success, that stuff. God wants us to show grace to others who are suffering. Actually help and leave the judging to God. So like, it doesn't matter, oh, you got all this fame, you got all this money, like who cares? He cares more about grace. He cares more about what you're willing to do to help, not just judging, but what are you doing to help? Not all this extra stuff that his friends are saying. In Romans, here's a note on here. In Romans, Paul agreed with Job's supposition about creation's ability to reveal God, reminding New Testament readers that the truth about God's eternal power and divine nature can be understood from nature. So clear are his fingerprints that those who claim ignorance of God are without excuse. Because even what creation reveals the glory of God. The animals, they will teach you. The birds in the sky, they will tell you, speak of the earth. So we're without excuse because even creation is groaning the glory of God, right? Anyways, that just wraps up Job chapter 12. I wanted to get on here real quick. I don't care about editing and making it perfect. I just needed to put this out here. Yeah, we'll continue.
You're the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot comprehend you. No, 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 no.